I've just lost my neighbour. She was 76. I'm going to come up here on Sunday with my grandson, as we do on certain occasions, just to say a prayer for Hilary. She loved this church. She was so poorly she couldn't come, but it was here for her if she wanted it. That's quite important. There's quite a few that love this church, that come here every week as a place of worship. But then again, you've got to look at, we have a welfare service that comes every fortnight. We have a food bank. It's more than a church. It's a church and it's a community asset. I would have been devastated if I lost it. And they're not touching it now. There won't be no flats on this bit of ground. So I've got a bit of a legacy.
Well, so Luke's has actually been on this site for a very long time, since 1933, and the building looked very much like a scout hut, and it was built at the same time as the estate around it, with the intention of serving the local people. Cold Harbour is a quite close-knit community around the outside of Oxford, and it rates highly in deprivation scales. St Luke's ministry seems very much to people with all sorts of different needs, whether social or financial, emotional. We find ourselves providing a welcome to a wide variety of people, really. Ever since I've been here from about 1992, it was on people's minds then about what to do about the building, because it was only ever meant to be a temporary building and it was falling apart basically. Plus it was made of asbestos and there's all sorts of problems with it. So it was a much loved building and very well used, but clearly it wasn't going to survive into the next century for very long.
Our first thoughts were, let's demolish this building and put something much grander in its place. And we had the idea that if we had a whole centre, which might include 2 or 3 flats, that could generate an income which would support the work that the church was doing in the community. And we started to talk to our neighbours who live locally and ask them what they thought. We had drawings up from the architect and they weren't very keen. And they said, you can't do that. It's community land. This is our community. St Luke's is our church. I know I never come, but to me it's part of my life, part of my family's life. And we want to support it, and we can't really support the idea of doing something so radically different. So that was an important moment of recognition on our part that we were responsible to our community and that we couldn't really do anything effective unless we were working with them.
I come here on a Sunday to the service, and I come here to all the craft days that we have. I've been to all of them, and I like the company very much because I live on my own, so I enjoy the company.
We've been meeting regularly with the steering committee throughout the whole process really, and it was a very long process. So by the time we had an architect, we had about 4 different designs for a building, and we thought this is the time to go to the community now. We have some definite designs and options, and so we had a couple of community events with a barbecue and stuff, and we invited people to come in, look at the designs and put post-it notes around them and just to engage with people.
We kept the story going in the local press, and we tried to put on things which were going to be fun, but would also tell the story and tell people how they could get involved. We actually went around and visited each house in the area. We had a little questionnaire and we said, this is what we're hoping to do. What we would like to know from you is how you envisage it, what we're not doing at the moment that you'd like to see us doing. Through that engagement, the ownership which they'd had of the original building was transferred to the new building. They shared everybody's excitement. There wasn't this big process of them having to get used to something that was completely alien and foreign to them.
During the week, quite a few people would come in and out now, not necessarily to the services of worship, but to use the facilities.
But also we had the other strand, which is our young people who'd been involved from the start, and they were the ones who actually really were calling and encouraging us to go for a change in the building, and we ended up doing a lot more with young people, finally getting £50,000 from the Youth Capital Fund, which really kick-started our fundraising from there. The young people came up with a name and they decided on the name The Big Project, and they got involved in fundraising in all sorts of ways.
You can't do things in isolation. You can't say, well, we're the church and we know what we want to do. You have to be talking to the people that you're providing services for.
It's absolutely vital that you do that as early on as you can in the process, and it really helped us consolidate what we wanted in the building and what was not going to work. And sometimes when you have a small group of people, like our steering group was a mixed group of people and they were very dedicated, but you need outside eyes to look at that and say, well, actually, is this going to work? Was that going to work? Or have you thought of this? And to listen as well, not just to offer people the chance to say something, but to actually take it on board and listen.
I mean, the things that go on here. You've got youth groups, you've got Monday Club, you've got mother and toddler clubs, the Asian Christians come here. We've even got I think it's a Hungarian Christian group. It is an essential part of this community. And we nearly lost it. And it was difficult, but thanks to a wonderful vicar, we've got somewhere that we can call ours. And it is ours. It's the whole of the communities. You want a birthday party, come and see Reverend Jane and she'll arrange to let you the hall. It is a piece of our community and it's very dear to me.